Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I want to thank you for spending some time today with me to talk and be intentional with your productivity. As you know, I have always said productivity for me when it comes to working with people. When people ask me, Megan, what is productivity and what do you mean by this productivity? I always say productivity are your habits, your processes, your automations, your mindsets, and your resources. Well, today we are going to talk specifically about one of these elements of productivity. We are going to talk about productivity and your mindset. Most specifically, we're going to talk about 3 mindset shifts for success when it comes to productivity. But before that, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for being here. You are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel, where please remember to like, subscribe, and even be notified when a new episode drops and you can watch it. Please check out our website, USA Global TV and Radio, and our YouTube channel, as not just my show is available, but there are a lot of other topics that you can explore so that you are living your best life. Let's talk about living your best life right now and today with productivity. As I mentioned, today we are going to be talking about unlocking productivity with 3 mindset shifts for success. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, and we're going to have just a real quick little bit of story time, what I want to talk about is when you think of productivity, and when I've thought of productivity for years. So I've been a productivity partner since about 2015. So almost 11 years, 2014, 2015. So almost over 10 years I've been a productivity partner. And I will say when I started as a productivity partner, a strategic productivity partner, that is, back in 2015, as I started working with people, as I've mentioned to people before, I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't realize that I was heading into the productivity world. I knew I was leaving the brick and mortar office building job, and I knew I wanted to work in the remote path, in the remote world, and I wasn't sure how to make that happen. And so as I started to explore and meet people, boom, I started helping people with their productivity. So for about the first 4 years, when I started working with clients with their productivity, it really was focused on what are your systems and what are your processes and your tools? What is it that you're doing, right? Because one of the things that I knew when it came to productivity, I knew that when it came to working with my clients, so I had over 100 clients, right, that I had worked with in the first years of being a productivity partner. And so I started to observe and learn some things about my clients. And obviously, as I was working with clients, I learned a lot about myself and I opened my mind about productivity. And that's how I have taken the path that I've been on and the path I've gone on with my clients. One of the things that I realized, the challenges my clients were having with productivity, yes, they needed systems, a to-do list or a calendaring. They needed those processes. But what I realized even more powerfully than that was a lot of times my clients, my productivity clients were stuck in chaos, and they were not, when they were ready to change their mindset, right? So they were stuck in chaos. They wanted to change their mindset, and they realized that the right mindset transforms productivity and turns it from overwhelmed to focus. So what I realized is not only was I a productivity partner that was helping my clients with, again, their processes, their systems, the tools, setting up Asana, setting up Trello. Oh, do you have a daily process? What I realized very quickly is that I was actually helping my clients more specifically with their mindset, with their thought processes. And I was watching my clients be stuck in chaos and overwhelm. And I realized that while the tools were important to help them, that it was also their mindset that needed help. It is also their mindset that needed attention, and intentional attention. Say that 10 times, intentional attention, intentional attention. I won't do that again. But I realized that it was productivity. It was the mindset that needed that intention. So what I started to realize is that when we're talking about productivity, we're talking not just about your systems, habits, processes, tools, and resources, automations, but we're also talking about your mindset. So as I started working with clients, as I started learning more, so in about 2018, in my personal life, I started a program where I was doing a Buddhist studies and meditation program. And so every week on Monday nights, I had a Buddhist studies and meditation course. And it was very interesting over the next several years as I would take a course and as I was learning information about meditation or mindset, how much and how applicable it would be to my clients that I was working with. And so I started to realize, as I mentioned to you, that working with people with their productivity is their processes, their habits, it's their automations and their resources. But most important, the foundation is their mindset. So that is where over the last years, when I have worked with clients, I not only work with them on the technical, quote unquote technical, but we look at the mindset. So let's look at how we would take that, right? How do we do that? As I was working with clients and as I would start to introduce ideas, not just about, oh, these are the actions you need to talk about, but what is it that your thought process is with it? As I started to recognize these ideas, my clients would agree and say, yes, my mindset, I need to adjust my mindset. I am in chaos. I am in overwhelm. I want to get out of that. But they weren't sure how to do it. They weren't sure, okay, Megan, but how do you help me with my mindset? Well, that is what I realized, and that's what we're going to look at today. What I had looked at is previously, when I started working with productivity clients again in the early days, I had adapted, there is a tool called the Franklin-Covey triquation of productivity, right? The Franklin-Covey triquation. And so I had learned this years and years ago, last century in the 90s, and I had used the Franklin-Covey triquation when I was working with participants that were job searching and managing, and I was working with managers and supervisors, right? So I knew that these concepts work. And so as I became a strategic productivity partner, I started to adjust, and I realized that there are 3 elements when we're working with productivity that if we work on these 3 and address these 3 elements, it's going to positively impact our productivity. And so the 3 elements are event control, focused productivity, and self-belief. So as I was working with my clients, again, thinking about their processes, habits, and systems, the three things that I learned that are interdependent and that are connected are event control, focused productivity, and self-belief. So what does that mean with productivity? When my clients have event control, or when we have event control, what do I mean by that? I'm not talking about being a control freak, right? I'm talking about us looking and saying, where are we with our productivity right now? Where is my productivity right now? Do I like it? And do I want to make a change to it, right? People who come to me, obviously my clients are ready to make productivity changes. Are you? So let's talk about it. So let's look about how event control, focused productivity, and self-belief impact our productivity. As I mentioned, when I'm talking about event control, I'm not talking about a control freak. I'm talking about, do you know what you're working on? Do you have clear expectations? Do you have the assets that you need? Do you have the resources? Do you have the information? If you're starting a new project, do you have the information that you need to be able to come to succeed in the project, right? Do you have, okay, here's the hours that I'm going to work. Here's the location. Here's what's expected, those expectations. Again, it's control and knowing that event. What is that event control that you have, right? That's the first thing in productivity. I am in control of the event project. I'm in control of what I'm working on right now. I have what I need. Then the next element is focused productivity. Once we have what we need to be productive, my question for you is, how can we be focused with our productivity? What I'm talking about that is, again, what is our focus? When is it that we need to complete it? Do we have time scheduled? Do we have block times? Do we have realistic schedules? Do we have a workspace where we're able to focus? Do we have a workspace where people aren't screaming behind me or cutting down trees, right? So do you have focused productivity? Are you able to focus on what you need to? Do you have the tools that you need to be focused, whether it be time, whether it be mental space? And then third is self-belief. Now, how does self-belief come into productivity? I think when we think about it, we would think a lot, right? When you think about self-belief and productivity, and it's a cliche, but it's true. If you can see it, you can believe it. If you can't see it, you can't believe it. Doesn't this happen in our productivity as well? I'm going to give you an example. So I have a project that I've been working on recently for my operations job. And so one of the projects that I've been working on is processes. I've been developing a lot of processes and policies lately. And so I have a long list of the policies and processes. I have a list of about 24 that I've been developing, right? A lot of fun, let me tell you. But when I'm looking at that, when I started prioritizing and working on it, there's two paths that I could take, right? I have this list of 24 actions I need to get done. Do I prioritize them, or do I look at them and say, which one do I want to do? Which one do I want to do? Well, I will be honest, I did B. I went based on the approach of how I wanted to finish these 24 items, right? Some of them, when I looked at the titles, the reason I didn't pick them up and do them was because I hadn't pictured them yet. I hadn't thought about it. So it's important for us when we're thinking of what it is that we need to get, whether it's making a phone call, whether it's sending an email, whether it's giving a presentation on a YouTube show, any of those things that we're doing to be productive, we actually need to see or believe it. We need to have the path. We need to have the trust, the confidence in ourselves, the confidence of people around us. So when you think about it, self-belief is a key part to our productivity, right? So when we think about it, event control, focus, productivity, self-belief. So these elements in a triangle can either spiral to the positive or spiral to the negative. If we take any element out, we are going to be spiraling to the negative. So for example, if I don't have event control, I'm going to be spiraling to the negative. So focus, productivity, and self-belief are going to be negatively impacted, right? If I don't have self-belief, same thing. You could say that for all of the elements. The converse is true also. If we believe in it, or if we have these elements, we will be more productive. One of the things that I realized with my clients when I started working with them on their habits, systems, processes, is I would work with them on, okay, how are we making sure you have these three elements: event control, focus, productivity, and self-belief? So we see that triquation, and we see these three elements work for productivity. Again, as I started studying Buddhism and mindfulness and meditation, and as I started watching my clients, and as I started watching their habits, their behaviors, their responses, I can literally, when I log on with the client, when I first see them on Zoom, by their faces, I have an idea of what's going on. It's because I've paid attention to these things. So when I started talking to my clients about mindset, they would be like, but how? And so I did a lot of thinking and worked with a lot of different things. And what I realized is, wait a minute, the tool that I was using for productivity actually works when we're thinking about our mindset, right? And when we're thinking of how we can be how our mindset can positively impact our productivity, it's with the same concepts, I realized. And so now what I would like for you to think about is the mindset productivity triquation. And that includes three things. Again, event control. When we think about it, if you are setting realistic expectations, and if you are clarifying as you go, if you are, again, you're setting expectations, you have a clear path, you are clear on everything. When you think about it, that is part of your mindset. Part of the mindset with productivity is realizing that you have event control, that you understand the path. If you are able to slow down when you're thinking of what you need to be productive with, and if you're able to stop and say, what is my mindset right now? Okay, thinking about this project, whatever it is, do I have event control for this action that I need to be productive for? What do I need to have event control so that I am able to be mindful of this process, right? So again, that's where we want to not only think about, do I have the right tools? Yes, I have a clear to-do list. Yes, I have a clear action plan. Yes, my Trello, Asana, Monday boards are up to date, right? So there's that event control, but there's the mindful element of the mind control, or excuse me, the event control that talks about setting realistic expectations, about having a clear path and picture and understanding what you want to do and knowing that you have control. So we see that we can connect mindfulness and our mindset with event control by, again, taking time to be realistic and slowing down. The second area is our focused productivity. Again, when we think about it, we need to be able to focus one thing at a time. One of the biggest challenges of productivity, especially in the age of 2025, we think we should be doing 4 things at once. Because our laptops might have 14 windows open, browsers open of stuff, we think we as humans can do that. Is actually not the case. It is so important for us to realize that when it comes to our mindset and productivity, focused productivity is essential. We need to do one thing at a time, and we need to find our flow. We need to identify what works for us. Do I like this? Do I not like this? I've had clients that have said, I don't want that color on my screen. Great. That is you getting in the right mindset so that you're able to work with it. So it's important to realize what it is that you are focused on. Do you have a block time? Do you have playlists that you can listen to? I know I say this all the time, but when you're focused and when you're working to be productive, we think it's our atmosphere. Where are we? Do we have the tools? What's our mindset? And part of that is, what are we listening to? So you want to be focused with your productivity. And then the third element that we need to think about when it comes to mindset is our self-belief. We need to realize, again, we need to believe in ourselves, the systems, what we're working, but it also is about recognizing the path to growth, and it's also about overcoming suffering. And this is where I truly understood the connection to Buddhism and productivity. Was one night I was in class, and my my Buddhist teacher was explaining that the heart of the basic element of the first thing the Buddha taught was, there is suffering in life, and there is a path away from suffering. And I started thinking about that, and I was like, that's life. Then the next day, I logged in to meet with a client. And if there was a picture of suffering, it was him. He was frustrated. He had missed a deadline. He was overwhelmed, or someone had missed a deadline for him. He was overwhelmed. He was frustrated. And I said, stop. Right now, it looks like you're in a path of suffering where you're not enjoying this. I said, and that is a reality, and there is a path away from that. And so that really is what started to expand how I work with clients as a strategic productivity partner. Because when you think about it, it is our event control, our focused productivity, and our self-belief, not just for the tactical productivity tools, systems, processes, but it's also our habits and our mindset. And so we want to think about, what is it? How is our mindset helping our productivity? Or is our mindset taking away from productivity, and what do we need to do? So today, as we have talked about mindset and productivity, my goal has been to get you to start thinking, to expand, and to contemplate, and to be like, you know what? My mindset does impact my productivity. And that's a big statement. So what do we do with it? What we want to do then is look at, what is our event control? What is our focused productivity? And what is our self-belief? So my challenge for you with your practical mindset tips, when it comes to event control, here's my practical tip for you. Embrace that things won't always go as planned. Set realistic expectations and focus on what's most important to you. So when it comes to setting realistic expectations and event control, again, understand and know things aren't going to be perfect, but we can be prepared and we can improve upon them. And we can take control. Even through chaos, we can stop and say, what can I do right now? What is the one thing I can do, right? What can I take control of? When we're feeling overwhelmed, or when we've got a lot of emails and and I've got Slack messages incoming, and there's a Teams meeting coming on, and when we're feeling all of that, which could happen on any day of the week, we need to think about focused productivity. So your practical mindset tip for focused productivity is allow yourself to focus fully on one task at a time, and then be intentional to find your productivity flow. And this is something, as you know, I will say to you always, when it comes to mindset, find what works for you. Are you a morning person? When you get up and you're thinking and you want to be creative, then that's when you should do it. You want to find what works for you. The third practical mindset tip is when it comes to self-belief. Recognize that productivity can be a struggle and a challenge. And remember that struggles are temporary. Trust in your ability to grow, to improve, and to take small steps forward. Trust yourself. We know that life is challenging. We know there are a lot of things that are going on. So one question and one thing I want to encourage from you always is to take time and think, wait a minute, how can I take control of my productivity? How can I take control of my productivity mindset? The goal of this presentation today has been to think about acknowledging and identifying when it happens, how you want to move forward, and then practical mindset tips you can use for yourself on a daily basis. As you know, every week, one of my goals is that you take one thing away from our show and you're able to implement it into your life. So I truly hope that today you have had a chance to think a little bit about productivity and your mindset, and 3 mental shifts that you can take so that your mindset is in a productive place, so that you are thinking productively and positively and moving forward. I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Megan. I am your favorite strategic productivity partner. And again, today we have talked about 3 tips, 3 mindset tools that you can use so that you can connect your productivity to yourself. Self-belief in your mindset. When you think about it, it is true. Our minds do impact not only our productivity, our minds impact our lives. We work hard. We work a lot of hours. So we want to make sure that we enjoy it and it is as stress-free as possible. Thank you for joining me today. As always, I am thankful that you are taking time to think about your productivity. I truly hope that you gained at least 1, if not more, tips that you can take to think about your productivity and your mindset and how you can enjoy and how you can get things done maybe a little more stress-free. I will be here next Thursday, as every Thursday at 2:00 Pacific on USA Global TV Radio's YouTube channel. So please, again, as I've said before, like, subscribe, and even be notified when new episodes are dropping. As I mentioned before, please be sure this week that you take time to be intentional with your productivity. Please look at your mindset and see how the two are connected. I want to thank you. I will see you next week. And now a word from our sponsors.
My family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Cotton Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Creative for saving my life, finding the disease and treating me for so long, and the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
And listeners of USA Global TV and Radio for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.